In this video, we're going to talk about two other measures of demand elasticity. One is cross-price elasticity, and the other is income elasticity. Cross-price elasticity is a measure of how sensitive the demand for one good is to a change in the price of another good. Imagine, for example, you're setting prices for McDonald's. Suppose you're thinking about lowering the price of Big Macs. One of the things you might be interested in is how that's going to affect your demand for chicken McNuggets, fish sandwiches, French fries, and so forth. The way you'd measure that is with cross-price elasticity, which tells you what the impact of a change in the price of one good will be on the quantities demanded for all the other goods that you sell. This cross-price elasticity could be either positive or negative. If the cross-price elasticity is positive, that tells you that when the price of one good goes up, the quantity demanded of the other good also rises. Or alternatively, if the price of one falls, the quantity demanded of the other good must fall as well. That would be the case if the two goods are substitutes. In fact, this is the empirical way in which economists determine whether two goods are substitutes or complements. If we estimate the cross-price elasticity and we find it's positive, that tells us that the two goods are substitutes. If the ratio is negative, that tells you when one good becomes more expensive, the demand for the other and therefore the quantity demanded of the other will fall at any given price. That only occurs if the two goods are complements. While we think about substitutes as goods that are used in place of each other, and we think of complements as goods that are used jointly, in practice, we determine whether goods are substitutes or complements by estimating the cross-price elasticity. And we should know that when measuring any of these elasticities, it's always ceteris paribus. So when we're looking at how a change in the price of good X affects a quantity of good Y demanded, that's holding constant the price of good Y, income, and anything else that affects demand. Income elasticity is a measure of the ceteris paribus effect of a change in income on the quantity of a good demanded. If a good is a normal good, we know that when your income rises, you buy more of it. So in the case of normal goods, income elasticity will be positive. And again, this is how economists determine whether a good is in fact a normal good. We estimate the income elasticity. If a good is an inferior good, we know that when incomes rise, the demand for that good falls, and as a result, the estimated income elasticity will be negative. Up to this point, we've also used two other terms somewhat loosely. We talked about goods being luxuries or necessities in earlier videos. Let's think about what it means to be a luxury. We think of luxuries as goods that you only buy when your income is relatively high. What that means is the spending on that good must rise faster than your income. So if your income were to double, your spending on luxuries would more than double. Looking at this definition of elasticity, what that tells us is that the numerator must be larger than the denominator in the case of luxuries. So we say that a good is a luxury if the estimated income elasticity is greater than 1. Necessities are any goods that are not luxuries. With necessities, what happens is, as your income rises, you spend a relatively smaller proportion of your income on necessities, and therefore, necessities have an income elasticity that's less than 1. Note that necessities may be either normal goods or inferior goods as long as the income elasticity is less than 1. Luxuries must always be normal goods, and inferior goods will always be necessities because if the income elasticity is less than 0, it has to be less than 1.